Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this fourth session of the sixth session course of HTML and CSS. Today, we'll be making this website. We'll start making this website from this session onwards, and we'll be making a part of it today. And by the end of this course, you will be able to make a website just like this. This is what we'll be making today in this session. Till here of this website. We'll be making the header and some part of the name. I've divided the website for your convenience to show you here how it looks. This is the header with the logo, which is an image, and the list items, which are 3 list items, and the main part with 2 headings. This is what we'll be covering today, and I'll be teaching you some things like spacing and changing just a part of the font or the text. So let's get started with today's session with the recap of the previous session. So in the previous session, we started with what is CSS. So CSS is a front-end language, just like HTML, and it is used to style how HTML elements are displayed on the screen, on your screen. Now, CSS is very useful. It saves a lot of work, and you can just control and change the layout of multiple web pages at once. And there are many things you can do with CSS. Now to code in CSS, you can code in CSS the same way you code in HTML. You can code in CSS using an IDE. And the IDE for HTML and CSS is the same, VS Code. We'll be coding in VS Code for HTML and CSS both in this course. So I also taught you about the HTML file syntax, which is the basic syntax. And it is very important if you want to link the CSS file to HTML file. I also give you a shortcut. I'll show you what the shortcut is. If you don't want to write this lengthy HTML file syntax, and if you don't remember it, you can use this shortcut. But it is always best that you remember it. I'll be opening a new text file for this session. So I'll be selecting a language. Also, this shortcut only works if you have saved your HTML file. And it's always best that you save your HTML or CSS, any file, before writing any code in it, so that all of it is saved. Save as. I'll be saving it in my desktop. And I'll show you where it is. Wait, is my VS Code screen visible?
No, ma'am, it is not visible.
Okay, I forgot to switch my windows. Yes, I hope it's visible now. Yes, so I'll show you where I saved it in my desktop. I saved this file session4.html in my desktop right here. So let's open it. This is the file and it's blank because we have not written anything here. Now this is the HTML file syntax. The doc type HTML and then the HTML head and body. But there's a shortcut to all of this. First, you save your file and then you write 1 exclamation mark. You'll get this emit abbreviation and you can just click on it and here it is. This meta name viewport is not that important, these 2 lines, because you'll be writing basic HTML code for now. You'll not be doing anything advanced like change the screen size. This is for changing the screen size, like from a laptop to mobile. We'll be learning that in further sessions. So this is the main part of the file syntax you need, and you don't need this lang n either. It's not that important because the computer already knows your programming in English. So in this title part, you can just denote the title of your document, which is session 4. And UTF-8 is the character encoding. Inside head, you write the details of the document you are recording in, and in the body, write your code. And also, this is not indented here. That's why I recommend writing the HTML syntax yourself. It has to be inside doctype HTML. No, actually, the head has to be inside the HTML. Yeah. So the head has to be inside the HTML. Thus, its closing tag will also be inside the HTML. And this meta and title, these are the details of this document. This is the character encoding, and this is the title. So ident them inside HTML as well. And body also come inside HTML. Now, inside the body, you write your code like one. Hello, this is a heading sized one. Let's just see if HTML file is saved. Yes, it's working. Now, after the HTML file syntax, just link your CSS file to HTML file. In the head, there comes a small line of code. Link is the tag, and there are two attributes. Link rel equals to, in this you write the value, which is style sheet, which denotes that this is a CSS file. And then you write href, in which you write the code for your not code. You denote the link for your CSS file. So let's create a CSS file for this session. Let's save it. As you can see, it's CSS right here, session 4. It's saved in my desktop as well. Now in href, we write session 4. And as you can see, this comes right here. So this will be this file. Now I've saved this. Let's see if it's working, if it's linked. So, yeah, it's a heading 1. H1, just H1, because it's a tag, not a class. We'll be getting onto the selectors at the end of this recap. Now H1, let's just see if they have linked successfully or not. Let's go with aqua as always. So this is the color aqua right here. Save. This is the session file. Yeah, it's working. It's linked. Now there are 4 parts of CSS file syntax. We have learned that in the previous class, so I showed you code in CSS right here, but I'll just tell you again. This is the selector, which tells which element, HTML element to select. There can be any class here. I've taught you what a class is. There can be a class here. There can be a tag here. Now for a class, to denote it's a class, you have to add a full stop at the beginning. But this is a tag, heading 1 tag. And then comes the curly braces, in which denotes the starting and the ending of your CSS code for this heading 1 selector. So inside this curly braces, you write your code. Then comes the property. You must remember in HTML, we added a style attribute to change the property and the value of the property. Now this property and value of property were the value of the style attribute. So this is the property. As you can remember, we have also written in the same syntax after the style attribute as the value of the style attribute with a colon and a semicolon. So after the property comes a colon, and then comes the value or the values. There can be multiple values. And then comes the semicolon. So here the property is the color and the value is aqua. So these are the 4 parts of the CSS file syntax. The selector, the curly braces, the property and the property value or values. And then there are many properties in CSS. The color property. Some people sometimes write font color, like font size. We add font before the size. But in color, you just write color. You do not add font before the color, font and hyphen. Also, in between properties, always remember there's no space. There's always an hyphen. So sometimes people also do this mistake of writing background color. Now it might be an error sometimes, so add a hyphen. As you can see, it was underlined in red before. Yeah, it's working. Now there's commenting in CSS. I have also shown you how to comment in HTML with this opening tag, exclamatory mark, 4 hyphens. Now there's auto completion feature in VS Code. So if you write the starting tag of your code, it will complete on itself. Now, this is a comment, and this is something only humans can read. This is something only you, the user, can read when you're reading this code, when you're checking this code. The computer cannot read this, and therefore anything you write in between them will not be given to the computer as a code or as a program. This is a comment. So this is how you write a comment in HTML, but how to write a comment in CSS. See this. Now to write a comment in CSS, you first add slash, then a multiplication or star sign, and then another slash. In between these two, you write your comment. This is how you write comment in CSS. There you go. See this and see if it's coming. As you can see, neither the HTML comment nor the CSS comment is coming on the screen. This is because they are comments. Now let's try all these properties on this heading 1 itself. This font size. Font size. There's a hyphen in between, remember. 30 pixels. I'll go with 30 pixels. You can also go with centimeter. Pixels is the usual recommended unit, but you can change the unit by changing the suffix. You can add centimeter here. Also, centimeter is very big. 1 centimeter is like 10 times of 1 single pixel. So I think you should go with pixels because you have more control over the size when you are using pixels because they're smaller. In centimeters, you'll have to go into decimals, really long decimal numbers to get really small sized or accurate sized text. So I recommend going with pixel when you're programming. Okay. See, it's smaller. It's a little smaller. Let's change it to 100. There are 6 sizes in headings, but if you want your text to be bigger than the biggest size of the heading, which is heading 1, you can change it using font size property. As you can see, this is bigger than how it was before when it was a simple heading 1. Now, font family. This is one of the most commonly used font families. So I'll be using this sans serif. I am sure you have heard of it. Save. Yes. This is sans serif. You change the background color of it already to red. Let's change it to something that relates to aqua. Blue or something. Blue. It's changed. Now, width and height. For this, we'll be using an image. So let's insert an image here. img src attribute. And then let's close this tab. Inside the src, I'll be adding an image. You can try all of this alongside me for the recap, but we'll be starting with this session syllabus in a few minutes. I've shown you how to insert an image from your computer itself, but I'll be getting it off Google for now, so that you're not confused, because if I get it from my computer, if I insert it from my computer, it will come with the name saved in my computer. So that will be a little confusing. Copy image address. Also, sometimes people copy the link address. Always remember, you don't want the link, you want the image. So copy image address. And if it's not working, just double check what you have copied. Now, I've copied this and yes, this is the link. Now, let me save this file. As you can see, the image has appeared here. Yes. So now let's go to CSS and change the height and width. Now img, as it is a tag, we don't need any full stop before it. It's not a class. Now img is the selector, then the curly braces. Now we write the property, which is height. Let's change it to 100 pixels, and width. Let's change it to 150 pixels. As you can see, it's a little smaller now. Let's remove the width. Now this is not changing much more than the original picture, so I'll be adding bigger measurements. As you can see here, it's bigger. Now, as I've just written the height here, it's taking the width as if it's in ratio with the height. So automatically width is in auto mode. So unless you just tell the computer what you want this specific width of this image to be, it will be in auto, or it will fit the height. So you can denote still. Yes, like this. So that's how you change the width and height of an image. Now, HTML classes. HTML class is actually an attribute and not a tag. These are like categories. They divide into categories. You can also use div or divide tag for this, for dividing classes. Now inside classes, like there are two headings here. Let's divide it class first. Div tag for divide and CLASS class. Close the tab. Now equals to, as this is an attribute, remember to write its value in double quotes. Session 4. Now inside it, this we have now created a category called session 4. So anything you write in between these two div tags comes in the class of session 4. Now you can also create different classes inside this class, which will be subclasses. They will be the children of this parent class, session 4. You can think of them like that. Now let's add a heading 1 here. This is inside the class. Let's save it. As you can see, this is inside the class. It too has the same CSS applied to it, like the heading 1 here. But if you do not want to apply this to this, you can actually separate it. Now we have created this class for session 4, which is a category. Now let's remove this. If you only want to apply this CSS to this heading 1, which is inside the session 4 class, then you will have to first select the class session 4. See, As you can see, now no CSS is applied to hello, and all that CSS is now applied to this, because this is the heading 1 inside the session 4 class. That's why this is called a selector, because you select the specific elements that you want to style. Now, you can also apply CSS to particular elements. I'll be clearing all of this. Not clearing. I'll be commenting all of this. So now, this is all commented. Now, first of all, we'll be learning the multiplication sign selector. This sign is used to select all HTML elements, every single one. Let's go with color, red. Color white. Let's go with color white. And let's add background color, black. Now, see this. As I've added the CSS to everything, now it is also the background color of the image, as the text inside the image was black. So you cannot see the text now. I'll change it to something lighter so that you can see the difference. See, now everything means this whole screen. All of this is an HTML file, and all of these are elements of HTML. So all of these are changed to background color as brown, and only the text is changed to color or font color as white. That is how you select all the HTML elements. This multiplication sign or star sign selector is for every single element. Let's remove this. Now, the next one is selecting specific tags. You can select one single tag like heading 1. Let's add a different tag so that you can differentiate between heading 1 and heading. Now, heading 2. We have changed this to heading 2. Save. Now, heading 1. Now, only heading 1s will have the CSS applied to them. This is a heading 1. Now, heading 2. So only the specific tags we have denoted there will get the CSS. Now we can actually try both heading 1 and heading 2 by putting a comma in between. As you can see, the CSS applied to both now. Now you can select one specific tag or multiple specific tags. Now you can also select classes like session 4. You can select classes alone, so that if you select session 4 H1, then it will only apply to that heading 1 inside session 4. Now, if there's also an image and you apply it to the whole session 4 class, then the background color of even the image will be changed to brown. So it's not compulsory that you have to add a tag after the class selector. You can just select the tag. Save. We have added the image inside this. It will also be changed. You can specify tags in classes as well. Like we have this heading 1 inside this class. No, we have a heading 2 inside session 4. I changed it to heading 2. Yes. So you can apply this CSS to this heading 2 as well, in particular for that heading 2 in session 4. Like white. Yes, so I've taught you how to use the star sign as a selector, selecting specific tags, classes, and multiple tags, and tags of specific classes. So let's start with the website that we'll be making today. This is the website that we'll be making today. This is just a part of the website that we'll be making in the further sessions till session 6. So what we'll be making today is the full header, which you can see right here, the header and the main. Now I've written the header logo and header list because these are the classes we'll be making. It is best that you divide everything into small pieces so that you have more control over your website. So that you can control the CSS applied to each and every single element. So we'll be adding subclasses inside the header class. Let's start making this website. Now, as we've started with this session, so try all of this alongside me. Let me add, So let's get started. Now, the two parts of the website are the header and the main. We'll first be creating the header as it is above the main. We'll be clearing all of this code so that we don't get confused. We cannot comment it. We'll be clearing it, or we'll get confused in between the code for the website we'll be making and what we have done in the recap. Now, let's start with writing our code here. First of all, this is what we want. So let's first create a header class in which all of this will come. Let's first divide a header class. Do all of this alongside me now, please. We've learned how to do nearly all of this that we have done here. So we'll be using the skills that we learned in the previous class, and we'll be learning some new skills alongside while making this website. Now, div class header. Let's keep the names in small case so that we don't get confused. Now, inside header, there are two parts, the header logo, which is an image, and the header list, which are 3 unordered list items. I'm sure you remember what unordered list is. We learned it in session 2. It is a list which is not ordered or in a specific order, like 1, 2, 3. It's not ordered at all. It's simply jumbled up. As you can see, we do not know which is first, second, or third. It is not written as 1, 2, or 3. Now, inside the header, we add the two. We also divide 2 different classes inside the header, which are the header logo and header list. Class equals to header. Also, as I told you before, never add a space in between names for your files or classes, anything you create. Even for files you create, not just HTML or CSS files. Add either a hyphen or an underscore. We'll be going for a hyphen here to make it neat. Now, this is one, and the other also, as we have created this header logo inside this div, don't accidentally make another class. The class we'll be making now, the header list, inside this header logos div. You might be a little confused. What I mean is, they have created this header class. Inside it, we need 2 classes. If you make the class header list inside header logo, it will be inside header logo class and not inside header class. So we need both of them to be equal inside header class. So we'll be dividing another class here, header list. Save it. Now, as you can see in this image here, in header logo, there is an image inserted, which is the logo. You can add any image you want actually. But if you can't find any image right now, you can add this logo and change it later. Let's insert the image, img tag. Then you add the src or source attribute. Remember to write its value in double quotes. I'm saying this again and again to remind you so that it just gets stuck inside your head. Now, the source, I've sent it in chat before. I'll be sending it again. I've sent it again. Now, we have added the source. Yes. Now let's see if the image is there. We'll be first focusing on HTML and then we'll add the CSS code. Now we have added the image like here. Now we need the 3 list items, unordered list. So now this unordered list is inside the header list class. As you can see here, I've marked. So now we'll be working inside the header list class. Do you have any doubts till now? If yes, please tell me in the chat. I'll be clearing them soon after. Now inside the header list, we first add UL for unordered list. In unordered list, there's simply small dots in before the list for bulleting. It's not ordered. Now LI for list items. The first list item is about, listens, and contact us. So about, LI, listens, and LI, contact us. Now, let's save this. As you can see, these 3 have appeared here. Now, this is all the code we need to write for the header in HTML. Now, this is simply the header, right? How can this look so different here and here? We have written the same HTML code for both this and that. This is because of the CSS. I've written in the notes what all you have to do. Now let's, after doing all this, the header, let's apply a little CSS to it as we have added everything. Now, CSS. So first of all, we'll be applying the CSS to full header. As header is class, we'll be adding a full stop before header. First, we'll be adding, I have written the details here and the color codes here as well. I'll be sending all these color codes. I'm sending these color codes and the details here. See. I've sent the background color, the color in the height. Now for the background color, we'll be writing background. Then remember to put a hyphen, background color. Now the full header class will be colored in aqua, not aqua, so this color. It is very similar to aqua. It's a shade of blue. Now I'll go in chat. Yes, background color. I've sent the color code in chat. Please use that color code. Or you can use any color, but it's similar to the colors, different colors we'll be using further in the website. So it'll look beautiful if you use this color. This is the color code for the background color. I've sent it in the chat. Do this alongside me, please. Save. As you can see, this is the whole header class and everything inside it is styled with the background color that we have written here. I don't know the color, it's only the code. Now I've sent the code. Try this alongside me. If you have any doubts, please tell me in the chat. Now, as we have added the background color now we'll add something different. We'll add the font size for all the fonts or the text that is inside this class. Font size. And then let's first add the properties. Height for the image, font size for the text. And if you want, you can actually add the font size later with the class itself. Like header list, and then you add the font size. So we'll actually do that. Height for the image and color for the text. Color. Now the color we have used is white. And the height is 90 pixels. Save this. As the height of the image is 90 pixels and the list is down here, you will not be able to see the list because it's white. So we'll be learning about something which is called float property and padding property. Now, to change the position of the list items to come here, we'll be using the float property. And to add space, we'll be using the padding property. These both are properties in CSS. We'll first learn about the float property. Now, float property is used to float or transport the HTML element that you have chosen to different places in the file, like left or right. Let's select header list. Yes, header list li. We need to float it to the left. Now, what I mean by left is it will come from left to right if you do it. If you float it to the left, it will come from here to here. If you float it to the right, it will come from right to left, like that. And padding property is used to add space to the different elements, like padding. Now you can also specify the padding, like you want the padding to be from the top or from the bottom or the right or the left. Now there are three ways in combinations. I actually recommend that you write the padding hyphen top again, then padding hyphen bottom, like that, because that will help having more control over your code. Padding bottom. Yes. Save this. Let's add the padding. I have a code, this website as well. As you can see, the header has these three. I've sent the color codes, all the details in the chat, of course. And now the header list li, the float left, and the padding properties as 33 pixels and 20 pixels. Now, as I told you that you can specify the paddings, you can also specify that as top, bottom, left, and right. Now there are combinations, as I said, padding. Now, if you write just one, like 40 pixels, it will be applied to all top, bottom, left, and right. But if you, there are other combinations, like you can specify 4 numbers and they'll be in the sequence of first number will be for top, then right, then bottom, then left. Or you can just write 2 numbers. First number will be for the right and the left, and the second will be for the top and the bottom. (43 pixels and 20 pixels. Right here. We don't need all this. Save this. As you can see, it appeared here for a second. We need to change a few more things. We need to tweak with the code a little more. Also, there's also this property called list style. As you can see in the unordered list before all of this, before all of this, there's a disk here, not a disk, a circle here. Now that is the basic default property of bulleting, but you can actually change it by writing list style none. I have some code. I have the code here for this website for my convenience. Style none. Now this is used to remove this style, this circle right here. As you can see, it's removed now as we applied the none value to the list style. Now you can also apply different values like square. Like as you can see, it's square now. Disk and circle. By default, it's circle. By default, it's circle. But if you write circle, then it will be blank. Inside, there will be nothing and it will just be an outline. But if you add nothing here, you add none, then there will be no list style. Now, let's see if the float property has done anything. As you can see before that, it's coming like this. But by floating it to the left, it is coming from left to right. The text is written from left to right. Like we write English from the left to the right, like that. As you can see, now it is in vertical manner. It's from top to bottom, the three different list items. After writing float left, it should be from the left to the right. As you can see right here. And the padding property, of course, adds space in between the different elements. Are there any doubts till now? If yes, then please tell me in the chat. If you have any doubts in between the session, just tell me in the chat and I'll be clearing them. Now this was for the header list. First, the first element that we see here is the header logo. So let's go with the header. Let's change the header logo. Header logo. Now inside the header logo, there's an image, so img tag. So let's see. Now the header logo also has to flow to the left, right? Like here. It's already from the left, but let's try it. Let's do that so that when you add the other elements, they don't come on top of the image and your whole website is out of control. Flow to the left. As you can see here, now all the elements are floated to the left. The images and the list elements are. Now, there is no space in between all of this. Now, for that, we need padding. Float left, and then the padding we'll be adding is, we'll first add padding 0 pixels and then 40 pixels. As you know, the combinations. First, there's right and left. First, there's right and left, and then there's top and bottom. If you've done this in the wrong combination, if you have interchange, then we can change it. As you can see, now it's coming in the middle. But it's too big to fit inside the header. So now we'll be changing its height, of course. Height. Let's go with 100 pixels. Actually, if you don't know the exact length, because you cannot know the exact length, how it will look without any CSS. Am I audible, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, Richa, I think it's a problem on your side. Now, Yes. So first of all, we add the height, 100 pixels. You do not know the height just by looking at it. So you'll have to experiment a little with 100 pixels or 125 like that. Let's go with 100 pixels for now. As you can see, it's small enough to fit in here. And the width is automatically in auto mode. Now we have floated it to the right. We have added the head, the height. Now, as you can see, I've also added width as auto here, but it's automatically auto. So you don't need to add auto, but if you want, it's always best to tell the computer clearly what you want. So width auto. So as you can see, everything is coming like here, but this is white. So let's change the color. We are done with the header logo image. As you can see, it's in the correct place. It has the right padding, both from the left, right, top and bottom. But, it was not fitting in the header because of its height and not the padding. Now, the header list li, first we'll add color, white. Save. Now it's white, as you can see here, just like before. Now we are completely done with the header. Also, you can also sometimes change or tweak with the CSS of the body. What I mean by the body is the place where you write all your codes, this body. This is the body, as you can see here. Now you can change the code for the full body itself. Like you can change the style of the text that you want here. We'll not be changing much of that. But still you can, just know you can. Now, as you can see here, we are done with the header. We've completely completed the header. We have completed the header list, the header logo, and the header. Now, this is the final website that we'll have at the end of the course, and this is the header. As you can see, it's exactly the same. So till now, we have learned about the float and padding property. So let me just summarize a little. Padding is for adding space, and float is for floating from left to right or right to left. It tells from where to where the text should be displayed. Like you write English from the left to the right of the page. Like that, it should be shown or displayed from the left to the right of the screen. Any doubts till now? Okay, if there are any doubts, tell me in the chat. So we have completed the code for the header logo img, and header list li. Now let's get on with the main. I've taught you about the list style property using disk, square, and circle. Now, as we have done with making the header, we can actually focus on the list style. I'll show you a few examples of list style, padding, and float so that you completely understand. Add paragraph here. Hello. Now let's save this. Save this as well. Now, as you can see, this paragraph hello has appeared here. I will be maximizing my code so that you can see clearly. Now, hello, that is the paragraph. And now I'll be talking about float. Now, paragraph. We'll not be adding a full stop before the paragraph or p tag because that is a tag and not a class. Now inside it, we'll be writing float. Let's try write. As you can see, it's now at the in the right. It's like text line, but it can be used for images as well. And float is actually used to change the text to come from the right to the left. Let's add a little more to the text. Hello. Snap. Yes. As you can see, it's still here. So that is basically what float does. It can be used for images as well. IMG float, right? Now this can actually crash because we have only one image and this is this, but we can change the code again. It's not working because we have already done float left here. Not here. This is the list. Float right. If it does not work, it may be due to the padding. As you can see, it's floated to the right. Now let's change it back to left. Now this looks very simple and beautiful as well. So if you want to change the code for your CSS code for your image to float right instead of float left, it's all right. It's all right. Now let's remove the pad. Now for the padding, let's go with an image. Let's divide another class. Let's not divide a class, that will be very problematic because there are multiple classes. So let's try with text paragraph only. P. Inside the P comes this text has padding. And if it does not work, it may not be any problems with the code. Sometimes the file takes some time to load and the code to sync in. So we'll have to reopen the file. That's it. See? It's always best to specify what padding you want to change. So padding top, add hyphen, of course. We accidentally had added the curly braces. Now, as this is the property, we add a colon after this. Padding top. Use pixels because you have more control over your elements with pixels. As you can see, it's now 20 pixels below this. Padding 100 pixels. Save. It's now 100 pixels below. Yes. So this is basically what float and padding do. Float and padding properties are used for. Now I've shown you what list style is used for. List style is used to change the style of the bulletin for list items. Let's create some list items here. Let's just change the list style of these list items. Li as their tags. Actually, it will not work if you just do it like that because we have already specified the list style to be none. So we can change it here only. So save. As you can see now, list elements here now have small circles here. Disk, not disk, square. Disk is circle itself. You can use it and you can use circle instead of disk. Now, as you can see, small squares have appeared here. Now, this is the list style. We'll be specifying it to none so that The computer knows there's no list style. List does not look nice. Now, without the list style, this is how it looks. So that is basically what the list style property is used for. The list style property is used to specify how the list is, how the styling of the list looks, list items. Now, I'll be first writing the two headings, and then I'll be telling you the use of the span tag. Now, we'll be now creating the main. Now, there are two basic elements we have used in main, two basic HTML elements. These are two headings, a heading sized 1 and a heading sized 2. So let's remove this paragraph. Now, this is one class called header, and there's another class that we'll be creating now for the main, because the header and the main are different. This is not the only part of the main that we'll be creating. Now in further classes, in the 6th session, we'll be creating the whole main, which is this. This is just a small part of the main. The main goes till here, till the end of the form, and this is the footer. Now, first, divide a class called main, div class equals to main. Now, in between div, now, as I told you, this is not the only thing that is inside the main. There are many other things. So as to not get confused, you can add main headings, because these are the headings in the main. Now inside this, add another div tag, div class attribute, then in between double quotes, right? Main hyphen or underscore headings. All these codes are in the notes. So when you get the notes, if you have not gotten the correct codes, you can copy them. But you can do this alongside me right now as well to understand better. Now, inside these main headings, there are two headings. H1, which is, for me, I'll write Sunaina Singh. You can write your own name. Sunaina Singh, full stop. And then H2. This is an H2 element. Let's learn to code. You can write your own name. Let's learn to code. Yes. Or you can write any text here. For now, you can write let's learn to code. You can change all of this, the header logo and all these texts later on. Save. As you can see, the two headings have appeared here. But they are not as big as these headings. And there's no different color, like the full stop here is in the color red. Now, taught you how to how to add or divide classes and give a class, assign a class to an HTML element, to just add the CSS to that particular HTML element. But this is the whole HTML element, H1. I have taught you how to apply the class, how to assign the class to HTML elements, full elements like full heading 1. I've not taught you how to apply the CSS to just a part of the heading 1. Now for that, you can span it or you can separate it from the text, from the tab. Now span, add the period in here, add the full stop in here, and save. Now as you can see, this is span now. So anything in between the span comes in the span tab. Or for now, there are many uses of span, and all of them are advanced uses. So for the basic use, you can understand it as something that separates some part of the text from the other part of the text. Now, as you can see, now this full stop is spanned. So this comes in main headings class. So main headings, there has to be hyphen inside the curly braces. Now add span here for the tag. Now color. As you can see, the color is the same here. This is black and this is black. The only color that's changing is the full stop that we have added in the span tag. So we'll be changing it to red. This color is a bit different from red. I'll be giving you the color code. I'll be giving you the color code. Color code. See, I've sent the color code. Let's add the color code. Now, this is a different color. You can use any color you want. I'm using this color. Reload. Now, as you can see, this only the full stop that was in the span tag is changed to this color. So you can do that. Now, we know how to change the font size of the heading. So we'll be changing the font size. Now, this was for this, and this selector is for the main headings span tag. So we'll go for main headings H1 first. Now you can give it any size you want. You can assign any size to it. I'll be assigning the font size as 140 pixels so that it's like the font size here. So font size 140 pixels. Save. Reload. Now this is 140 pixels. It's a bit different because these are in capitals and this is in small case, half a capitals. I'll change that so that it looks same. You can write your name however you want. Now, let's learn to code. Now it's a bit bigger than that. So let's change. Now, as you can see, this is some pretty big code from what all we have coded till now. But these are all created from some very basic things that we have learned throughout this course till this session. So it is very easy to code in HTML. Always remember that. HTML is very easy, along with CSS. Now, main headings, the class, add a hyphen and a full stop before it to denote that it's a class. Now, H2, the tag. These are this is a selector. Now the curly braces. Now font size is all we want to change. You can change the color of all of this if you want. Font size is 60 pixels. That's 60 pixels. Yes. You can actually use a different size like 80 pixels. It's a bit bigger than what's in this image because it's 80 pixels instead of 60. Keep it 70. That's half of 140. So, yeah. As you can see now, it's perfectly aligned and it looks like this image. I hope you have done all of this alongside me. So we have made the website that we needed to make today. In the next session, we'll be making the footer. All of this, as you can see right here. And we'll also be making this lessons part. Now, we are done with what we had to make in this website today. So if there are any doubts, please tell me, I'll clarify. Are there any doubts or feedback? You can unmute yourselves or you can tell me in the chat. Okay, so if there are no doubts, we'll be ending the session. You'll be getting the code, and the notes, the codes, and the recording soon. And again, we'll be making this footer, this lessons part in the next session. Thank you all for joining today. You can join the next session. Please do join the next session. So we'll be ending the session now. Thank you, everyone. Bye. Please practice what all we have learned today at your homes throughout this week.